A hardworking athlete and lover of physical sport, but not quite good enough to play football at the highest levels, settled for varsity lacrosse at Ohio State, and then quickly took his talents after college to the coaching arena with youth and high school lacrosse and football in Columbus, Ohio. It wasn't long before the teaching of technique and honing of skill turned into the molding of men. My dad has always had a very natural ability to elevate those around him and is always willing to share the lessons of his own life experiences, whether or not you want them sometimes. Those traits, combined with the exceptional coaching experience at Upper Arlington and Canton McKinley High Schools, led him to his first ever head coaching role here, the Carrollton Warriors. In June of 2000, the Coach G era in Carrollton began, and in his first year at the Cow Palace, he led the Warriors to a 9-3 season and the school's first ever playoff win, a decided victory against Beaver Local. The memories at the fairgrounds are unforgettable, but the Warriors needed a true home. My dad was instrumental in the planning, fundraising, and literal building of Community Field. I don't know if anybody else remembers having to go to the field after 6 a.m. workouts and pick up rocks and throw them in the back of my dad's truck, because I had to do that. He definitely has a sweat equity in the realization of that stadium, and I believe it's something high on the list of his proudest accomplishments and a place that houses some of his best memories. For many of us, the sweetest memories are from the 2004 season, a 9-2 record, the first league championship in Carrollton in almost 60 years, and it was an electric season. I'll never forget that game, the home game against Louisville. The famous effort plus attitude equals destiny speech is a frequent reference in our family group chat. I can list his accomplishments and crank out all his stats. The most wins for a head coach in Carrollton football history with 39, 6-2 versus you-know-who. The list can go on, but when I think about his time in Carrollton, what stands out to me the most is the community and the relationships. When I think about what he accomplished, of course, I think about the playoffs and the league championship, but I also think about the stadium project. I think about the countless people that he and Jody fed at our house. I think about the youth football program that he poured into, and I think about the number of guys who went to college on football scholarships. That is the stat to me that stands above the rest. He impacted the people here in big ways. Some of you became college athletes. Many of you became college graduates, husbands, fathers, and now, of course, coaches. And that is his legacy. Today, Barry Gottemiller is known for a lot of things. His success in business and real estate, his deep affection for his grandkids, and his contributions to his communities are chief among them. Football remains a big part of who he is, especially on Saturdays and Sundays now. But those Friday nights, I know they live on in the deepest parts of him that get a little stir every time he sees the lights. And to me, I'll always see that guy with the headset and the black windbreaker on the sidelines at Community Field. He'll always be the guy who took me along to 6 a.m. workouts, again, whether I wanted to or not, who let me record the tackling stats on Saturday mornings when we watched film, the one who taught me the spread and the triple option, and the one who gave me the chance to call Carrollton, Ohio home. He'll always be Coach G to us, and now he'll be Coach G in the Carrollton High School Athletic Hall of Fame forever. Congratulations, Dad.
Okay. Well, thanks, Nicole. As you heard her say, she was that Remember the Titans little girl when that movie came out. Crazy and in the stands screaming and yelling, and you know, she thinks she could coach wide receivers and anything. I mean, to this day. And God bless her husband Luke. I mean, he is as patient as they get, and they're doing an amazing job raising our grandkids, Hayes and Greer. Yes, Hayes, my daughter, evidenced by, you know, the great one. That's who Hayes is named after, not her grandfather. Start with thanking my wife, Jody. Every, you know, coach's wife is, you know, the best. And my wife was unbelievable as a coach's wife and still is as a business owner's wife. But thanks to the Hall of Fame committee, Mark, really appreciate everything that you've done, and Eric McCord for surprising us last fall, coming down to Florida and telling us about this. Super excited and super grateful. When we came here in 2000, Tom Postlewaite, I don't think he's here today, but I want to thank him also for spearheading my hiring. And it was pretty crazy when we came here. It was pretty wild. Obviously, as Nicole mentioned, you know, my first job as a head coach, and we changed literally everything. But started with, we bought our house in town, and some of you might know this story. We bought a house on the square, and and we closed on the house, went, bottle of champagne, right? And Barb Truman told us we got to go to the water department, set up our water account. So we literally walked a couple doors away, set up our water account, and then we're like, what do we do now? Let's go have some breakfast. So we walk around the corner to Archer's, and Jody and I walk in, and there's nobody in there. It must have been midday or something. We're going to have lunch or breakfast, and hello, anybody here? Doors were open, and the swinging door comes open from the kitchen. We're standing there about 5 minutes. This lady comes out. I can help you, or you can sit anywhere you want. And Jody and I look at each other. I think that was the lady from the water department. Same lady walked back through the alley and then welcomed us and served us breakfast. We're home. This is cool. That was our first experience here. So again, like I mentioned, we changed the off-season program. We changed the coaching staff. Offense and defense, obviously, but the players were unbelievable. How they kind of adopted everything we instilled, and that 2000 season was super exciting. A lot of fun. Starting off with the big win at home, and as Nicole mentioned, the Cow Palace, and that place was special, truly special. We got to the playoffs that year, and had a trip up to Beaver Local, which was incredible. I'll never forget that game. A lot of you were there. 5-6 people deep around the fence was crazy, and what an experience, that was. And some of the guys in this room were little dudes and water boys and all that at that event, and that was pretty special, and still holds a special place in our heart. But I remember when the following week, we lost in the second round. Tough game, close situation at the end. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm, and I remember on the bus ride, back to Carrollton, telling Kirk and some of the guys that it's going to get tougher before it gets better. It always does. We were pretty high right then, and then it really kicked in, the work ethic and the pride and the expectations. Now, when you have a season like that, the expectations were really high. But every player I ever coached jumped on board, and I'm super proud of that. The leaders that we've created and what we built, and the community started to really get excited about what we were doing. When we came here, again, it was my first head coaching job. So it was kind of like, okay, and a couple of the guys and I were talking about this last night, that, is this going to be a stepping stone? It could have been. And when I came here, I thought this could be a stepping stone to, moving your way up and all that crap. Or it could be a place you could live for 30 years and love. And some of you don't know, my parents were from small towns in western Ohio, farmers, born and raised. And so it quickly was easy for me to adopt sometimes that, I had bale hay and miss practice. And a lot of coaches could struggle with that. I did some, but if you miss practice, we missed that time with the team, but it became, are you going to be able to make up that time in the weight room with your effort, with your attitude? And they did. And that's a tribute to the parents and grandparents and this community of the young men that were part of our program. Stadium project was mentioned. And again, after that first season, everybody was excited, and we started having some meetings. Some of the guys in this room were spearheading those meetings about how we're going to do this and build a stadium, and that was a lot of fun. We, from out there at middle of the night and trying to figure out where we're going to build this thing, and volunteers were unbelievable. Nicole mentioned picking up rocks, driving my old pickup truck down the field, and I remember, when we lived on the square, and Joe Posderick would come cruising through town with one of his tractors or something, and he'd call me, let's go, coach. And it'd be, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock on a, July, Tuesday night. We'd go to work, and these guys would all be there. I remember losing, Lanny, we lost your son one night out there? Yeah. Jake, and but we had so many fun times out there building that thing and meetings. I remember meeting at Knickers one night, Charlie, Lanny, Mark, and everybody, and drawing up how we're going to design the scoreboard on bar napkins at Knickers, so a lot of those things went into behind the scenes, and it truly became community feel because of the way the community came together. And that, as Nicole mentioned, is absolutely one of my proudest moments and projects. I gave up coaching a couple years ago, so we went to Florida and yada yada yada, but enjoyed coaching down there for 5 years as a head coach, and then my last 4 or 5 as an assistant coach, which was great. Forgot how great that was, and you don't have to deal with anything but coaching your dudes, right? And my last year coaching was kind of funny. We had a pretty good group, had a couple undefeated seasons. I had a good group of O-line, and this was 3 years ago. It's only 22 season, and I'm working some O-line drills, and so you guys remember I had an air shield and working some double teams, and I'm getting hit, and, taking the hit, and 7 or 8 reps in, and I'm getting a little old and wobbly, right? And I go down, right? And my guy's like, Coach, I'm all right, hop up, let's go, keep getting some drills going. And my business owner down there, so my watch would go off all the time, phone ringing, business calls, I have to turn it off. And players like, Coach, turn your phone. My phone's ringing, and we're keep going some drills, and I finally look down, Coach, stop, I look down at my Apple Watch, and it says, looks like you've taken a hit. Do you want us to call 911? All right, it might be time for me to get out of the game. So that was it. That was my last year coaching. Mark asked me to, mention my, some of my proudest moments here, and gosh, the list is absolutely, very long, and it certainly starts with the stadium, as I mentioned. 42 players that I helped get to college from here. On some kind of scholarship, partial, full, Division III, Division II, Division I, it didn't matter. And really proud of that. And as Nicole mentioned, more proud of the people they became, not just the guys that went to college, but all of our guys became great leaders. And man, last night was amazing. Downstairs here, talking to everybody about what they're doing and their kids and their jobs and their careers. And that's what's really special, to me. The coaches and the friendships, some of those guys in this room that I still keep in touch with. 4 of my assistant coaches went on to be head coaches from here, many from other schools, and that gives me a great sense of pride as well. Obviously the NBC title, the playoffs, all those kind of things, but the culture that we built here was really special. And I've run into a couple people the last couple of days that just came up and shook my hand and said that we changed. That we changed the town, we changed the culture, we changed how football was looked at. And don't get me wrong, I have great respect for some of the guys like John Loudermilk and guys that played here in the 40s and 50s and 60s, because there was tradition here, great tradition. We just needed to turn the culture a little bit, and I'm super proud of that. Obviously, as Nicole mentioned, our 6-2 record against the team up north. And when I came here in 2000, I think we had beaten them once in 20 years. So I know it's been a little different recently, but it was special and still special in my heart. I come from a high school and college of rivalry is important, and that one certainly is. Obviously, I'm most proud of the relationships, with these guys and everybody in this room. I love here, technology is amazing. So getting texts and Facebook messages and all that stuff, and my wife busts on me all the time for I'm the selfie king and posting on Facebook. It's business stuff, but I turned it a lot personal. So this is super cool. Hall of Fame. As Nicole mentioned, I never made it as a player, so I was a sports junkie as a kid. Played every sport there was, but football was always our passion. And being in the Hall of Fame is unbelievable. I'm super proud, super excited, super honored. Thanks for having me. Go Warriors!